Welcome, dear children. Today we will read and discuss about poem number 2 from your book Hornbill, The Laburnum Top. The Laburnum Top by Ted Hughes. Ted Hughes, who was an English poet and children's writer known as Ted Hughes, whose full name was Edward James Hughes. His most characteristic verse is without sentimentality, emphasizing the cunning and savagery of animal life in harsh, sometimes disjunctive lines. His popular publication is his first book, The Hawk in the Rain. And this particular poem is also dealing with the nature and its subsequence. The Laburnum Top. Let us quickly read the poem and then discuss it verse by verse. The laburnum top is silent, quite still, in the afternoon yellow September sunlight, a few leaves yellowing, all its seeds fallen. Till the goldfinch comes, with a twitching chirrup, a suddenness, a startlement at the branch end. Then sleek as a lizard, and alert and abrupt, she enters the thickness, and a machine starts up of titterings, and a tremor of wings and trillings. The whole tree trembles and thrills. It is the engine of a family. She stokes it full, then flirts out to a branch end, showing her barred-faced identity mask. Then, with airy, delicate whistle chirp of whisperings, she launches away towards the infinite, and the laburnum subsides to empty. About this poem, it is a beautiful poem in which the poet has used the laburnum tree and goldfinch as a symbol of life and its fluctuations. I repeat, as a symbol of life and its fluctuations. Now, what is this fluctuation? The oscillation of goldfinch arriving at the top of the tree and then leaving back to its origin. In this poem, the poet describes how the visit of a goldfinch changes the laburnum tree. The goldfinch transforms the tree and makes it come alive as the chicks of the goldfinch start to rustle and chirp on seeing her. Once the goldfinch leaves the tree, it becomes quiet and still again. The laburnum tree symbolizes the pattern of her life in general, which is usually done and inanimate. The goldfinch breaks the usual pattern and makes it lively. Without the goldfinch, the laburnum tree is just like another tree. And in other words, it is the attitude of a person towards life that makes life meaningful and worth living. Now, this poem is mainly dealing with the nature and its relativity with the other natural object as a part of the same nature. We all, including human beings, are dependent on others for happiness, survival, and lot many things. It is difficult for a person also to live a life in solace completely or isolated from others completely, and which is why we are known as social animals. As long as we keep our lives connected with other beings, we feel lively, we feel full of life, we feel happy, and we feel whatever comes out through our life, whatever is there in store, we keep on living every moment. But if there is no connectivity with the nature or with the other beings in the nature, it is really difficult for a man to survive in isolation. The poem deals with the same connection and the relativity of one to the other. The dependency of one being for being happy and full of life is dependent on the survival of the other being as well. Before the arrival of goldfinch, the laburnum top and the tree, which was turning yellow, it is the month of September, autumn season, bright sunlight, and the yellow leaves are falling, the seeds are falling down because of the season autumn. When the tree is observed, it is seen to be quiet and silent, just like a dead one. There is seen absolutely no signs of life in the tree. But with the arrival of goldfinch, there is a sudden startlement at the branch of the tree. The movements of life and the startlement, the excitement and the energy is being observed by the poet with the arrival of goldfinch. The tree was, although blooming, it had flowers, it had seeds, it was full of yellow flowers on it. But there were absolutely no meaning to its existence unless goldfinch comes over and stays there for a while. The poet describes the beautiful sunny autumn. The laburnum tree, which is silent and still, it is laden with yellow leaves and yellow flowers in September, which have all turned yellow, and the season is autumn, as I just told you. Just then, a goldfinch alights on the laburnum tree, making short, high-pitched sounds of its chirpings. The goldfinch has her nest in the tree, and her chicks are resting in the nest. On the mother's return, a sudden movement stirs the tree. Her little ones are excited on her arrival and start chirping too. The cautious mother enters the tree with a great care so that no predator can come to know that her babies are housed in the nest. That is the mother's love and also the relativity of one being with the other. The poet has also compared the arrival and the movement of this bird goldfinch with a lizard who is quite alert of its surroundings and cautiously and carefully moves. The goldfinch enters the thickness of the branches very cautiously, and the machine starts up of chitterings and a tremor of wings and thrillings. The whole tree trembles and thrills along with the movement of the young ones as well as the goldfinch. The poet has compared it with that of a lizard, compared the goldfinch with that of a lizard, and the goldfinch has been called the engine of the family. Just as the engine starts up the machine, her arrival in the nest has suddenly started up the silent machine, which is nest. The young ones have started chittering and making noise. By feeding her young ones, she has added fuel to the machine, and as a result, the chicks now have the energy to be active and make noise. The nest and the young ones are here the machine, and goldfinch is the engine to the family, which is feeding the little ones as if she is adding fuel to the machine. Also, this machine has got the relevance with the existence of the laburnum tree, which was silent before the arrival of goldfinch, and just as she has come over, the adding engine and adding fuel to the family, it is also adding energy to the tree, which is now seen to be trembling and thrilling along with the chirpings of the young ones as well as the goldfinch. After feeding her chicks, the goldfinch flies up and rests on the end of a branch of the tree, and her identity concealed behind the yellow flowers and yellowing leaves. The poet says, she stokes it full, then flirts out to a branch end, showing her barred face identity mask. The stripes of the bird's face is metaphorically compared with the mask over here, which is quite beautifully matching up with the yellow color of the tree and its own yellow color. So behind the yellow flowers and the yellow leaves, this yellow bird is hiding behind, concealing its identity. After some time, the goldfinch makes a strange short, high-pitched sound, which the poet says, with every delicate whistle cheer up whisperings. So there is this uneven and strange and quite frightening high pitch of the bird, with which she flies away towards the infinite sky. And the laburnum tree becomes silent again. Just after the departure of the goldfinch, everything seems to be the same as it was before the arrival of the goldfinch. So this bird, which is the engine to the family, is also adding fuel to the life of the tree. Although it comes over to feed her young ones, her little ones, but knowingly or unknowingly, intentionally or unintentionally, it is also adding life to the silent laburnum tree. After its departure, the tree becomes silent again, perhaps waiting for its coming back and giving it the life back. So this shows the dependency of this tree on the bird goldfinch for its movement, startlement, thickness, chittering, tremble, thrills, everything. Without this goldfinch, the tree is just another tree standing silently without any movement. But the moment the bird comes over and sits on it, there's seen a light and a sparkle in the tree as well, even while the goldfinch is feeding her little chicks and giving the activity, the life, the startlement to the little ones as well as to the tree. These are some of the key points that we will quickly read and discuss. The laburnum or golden chain tree, as it is called, is a deciduous species with yellow flowers, often planted as an ornamental tree. Most parts of the tree and its fruit are poisonous. But it looks beautiful when you see this tree. A laburnum top refers to the top of such tree, the part with leaves and branches and flowers. This poem consists of 4 stanzas written in free verse, which means that there is no rhyme scheme. In the poem, a third-person narrator describes watching the tree in September. Just a few of its leaves start to turn yellow. The events of the poem take place over a period of a few minutes. And what are these minutes? When the goldfinch comes and sits on the tree until the time it is there, and she departs and goes back towards the infinite sky. At the beginning of the poem, the tree appears empty and quiet. A goldfinch returns to her nest on the tree, and the narrator can hear her chicks chirping and see the leaves moving even when the mother bird is hidden by the leaves. The narrator compares the return of the mother to an engine starting and setting a machine in motion. I repeat, why is it called the engine? Because it is adding fuel to the family, feeding the little ones in the nest, and also metaphorically giving life to the tree. The mother bird then heads out to the end of a branch and flies off, and the tree falls silent again. Now there are some poetic devices which are used in the poem. The first is simile, where this bird is compared with the lizard. This is stanza number 2, third line, sleek as a lizard. Then we have a metaphor where the bird is called the engine of her family, where the engine represents the mother goldfinch and machine represents the nest with its brood of bird chicks. Alliteration, which is September sunlight in the poem, a sudden startlement, alert, abrupt, tree trembles and trills are all examples of alliteration from the poem. Then we have a lot of sound words in the poem, which is onomatopoeia, and onomatopoeia is the sound words which are twitching, chirrup, chitterings, trillings, and whistle, chirr up. Then we also have transferred epithet here, where the description is not just of the character or event, but actually describing the situation of the same character or event. Her barred face identity, which is the last line of stanza number 2 in the poem. This is the shadow of the flowers on her face, looks like she is wearing a mask that has bars on it. So these were the poetic devices, and the few things that you as a reader and as a student should remember, that this particular poem, although is a short one, but is dealing with a deep meaning, which is about the connection of one with the other. This laburnum top is silent before the coming of goldfinch, but when the bird comes in, there is a movement, there is an excitement seen in the tree as well. And when it leaves, the tree comes down to its own level of being silent and quiet again. So there is this connection of three over here, three participants I would say. One is laburnum tree, the other is mother goldfinch, and the third one are the little ones in the nest. The little ones are dependent for their survival on mother goldfinch. Mother goldfinch is quite dependent on the tree for the nest that resides in the tree, and the laburnum tree is dependent on the mother goldfinch for its excitement and energy. So this bird, which is actually the machine and the engine of the family, is the connection between the goldfinch and the tree and with the little ones. It is only because of the goldfinch, the mother goldfinch, the bird goldfinch, that the tree shows the signs of trembling and thrilling. Soon after it leaves, the tree comes back to being silent, subsides to being empty, just as it was in the beginning. I hope the poem is clear to you, children. Thank you.